My name is Bill Parkinson, and today we're going to take a look at how you add a new theme, a new look and feel to a Iciniti 4.0 website. As you can see in the project manager here, I've created a couple of different websites. Corp Clean Working is the one that we're going to be working with today. And Corporate Clean is really the Corp Clean Working with all of the work done to it. Corp Clean Working is the one that we're going to work with, and we're just going to go up and browse to it to begin with and take a look at what gets delivered. So as you can see, it's a very clean, very empty site. What I've done is I've gone out and I've bought some HTML, and the reason that I bought HTML is I'm really not qualified to make it. Most of the time you'll have a web designer create the HTML and the CSS for you, but for this project I've just gone out and bought it. This particular template came with 3 different pages. So when we're done, that very blank page is going to take on this look. And we've got a subpage. And we've got a second subpage. And so we're going to be creating all of those. The first step in this is to go into the site that you've created in Telerik, and it'll probably be sitting under Telerik, Iciniti 4.0, Projects, and then whatever you named your project. And then we want to go into the App Data folder, and we want to go into Iciniti, and now we're going to start to create some folders. So we need to create a folder called Website Templates. And then in here we're going to give it our project name again. So we're going to call this Corp Clean. You'd call this anything that you want. And inside Corp Clean we're going to create 2 folders. We're going to create App Master, which is where your master pages will sit. And we're going to create App Themes, which is where your CSS will sit. Now, as much as the Corp Clean, you can name anything, App Master and App Themes, it's very important that you actually use these names. Inside App Themes, we're going to create a new folder, and this is going to be the color theme for this particular project. So I'm just going to call it red. And you can have multiple color themes under one app theme folder. And then inside the red folder, I'm going to create 3 folders. I'm going to create global, which is where your main CSS files will sit. I'm going to create styles, which is where you'd put CSS for things like your navigation templates or your widget templates. And I'm going to create images, which is where all of your image files will go. Now, as I said, it's very important that for each of your color themes, these 3 file folders are created, because that's where Iciniti is going to go look for those various items. So from everything from website templates down, it is important that the naming convention is correct. There are some that allow variations, such as your project name, and then inside themes, your project color scheme. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go back to this folder. I'm just going to grab some of these things and drop them in here. So we're going to take our CSS, and we're going to copy that, and we're going to put that inside global. And I'm going to go to my images folder, and I'm going to grab all my images. And I'm going to put those inside the images folder. We're not going to put anything in styles because we're not customizing any of the CSS for the navigation. But I do want to go back up to App Master, and in App Master I want to put my HTML that we're going to turn into master pages. So I'm going to copy these into App Master, and we're going to take these pure HTML files and we're going to turn them into master pages. So just before we do that, let's go back and take a look at the master page here. because this is the one we're going to do most of the work with. The others are already saved on your disk and they've been done already. So when you take a look at this, you can see some of the content areas. They become fairly visible fairly quickly. You've got a header content area here with the navigation control sitting in it. Probably we should have a logo sitting over here. We've got a big content area that's just holding an image and background with some verbiage on top. There's 3 columns across the middle. They all have content in them. And then we've got a footer that has content in it as well. It looks like it's a 2-column footer. If we go into App Master and we open up that homepage HTML, and you can just use anything. I use Notepad or WordPad for editing this, but any editors. You can see that this is just purely HTML. You can see your menu content area, and we're going to go through this and we're going to pull out these fixed areas and we're going to create ASPX active content areas. Okay, so now we're ready to start taking some of this HTML and turning it into master pages. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to click on here and we're going to rename this file. And we're just going to take it from homepage.html to homepage master. And that's the first step in making this a master file. Now we've got to do a couple of things to it before we start. And again, I'm just going to use WordPad for doing the editing. And we're going to go in and find the head. And right here we want to say run at equals server. And we want to come down in here to the body and we want to add a script manager. And I've got one already, so I'm just going to cut and paste that from another application. And I'm going to come over here and drop this in. And there's our script manager with a form ID. The form ID is also run at server. So you want to go down to the bottom and inside body we want to create an end form. And now we've done the things that are just the basic things to make this a master page as opposed to an HTML document. And then we're going to start to go through here and take out some of these references and just create content areas. So the first one that I'm going to do is I'm going to come into where the menus normally sit, and I'm going to take this class equals because we want to preserve our classes, and I'm going to just cut that, and I want to put that right inside here. So it's going to be class equals menu, or sorry, div ID equals menu, the div class equals first. I'm going to delete those. And I'm going to take all of this, which was their menu, out. And what I want to add in here instead is a menu ID. And I'm just again going to cut and paste this. So I'm just going to fix up a little bit of stuff here that I didn't quite bring over properly when I cut and paste. ASP content placeholder ID equals menu, and run this at server. So now we've created an ASP content placeholder for all of the menus. So now we're ready to start going through and just clearing out all these hard-coded areas and add active content. So up here where it says logo, you can see that there's some content in here, and we're just going to delete that. We're going to take our ASPX content placeholder and we're going to copy that. I'm going to put it up here, and we're going to change this from menu to logo. And we want to come back down here, and we can see some stuff in here for splash. And so I'm going to pull all of this out. Leave the space there. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to copy an area. And we're going to change that to splash. And I want to try and keep all of these divs lined up. Just makes it easier down the road. And if we follow down through here, we can see another area here that is just content. Actually took out a little bit too much there, so we're going to put back in here that we want this to be bold, so it's an H2 class equals title. And underneath it, we're going to end that H2. And that's just a header. It'll come with a different font attached to it. And we're going to take this from menu and say box title. And then we've got all of this stuff in here. We're just going to pull all of this out. And we're going to put another ASPX placeholder in there. Call this one box 1 content. Actually, I need to make a correction. We called this box 1 title because we do have 3 boxes here. And we're going to go down and do the same thing through all of these. Okay, so we've come back in and we've taken and replaced all of the static content for box 2 and box 3 with active content for a master page. We've renamed them box title 2, box 2 content, box 3 title, box 3 content. But I did notice while I was doing this that I'd made a spelling mistake up top, and so we want to go and take out this question mark and put in a close bracket. Now I want to come down to my footer content, and you can see that we've got 2 columns here. We've got a lot of information in here, and again we're just going to pull all of this out. And we are going to again take an ASP content placeholder, put it in here, and we're going to call this column 1, and copy that. And put that in here for column 2. Just going to go back in and rename that. And the last one's down here in the footer. Okay, so we now have a complete master page. We've taken all the parts of it and we've replaced them with active content placeholder areas. So we can save that page, and that's our new master page for our new theme. So we're just going to close this down and we're going to go into Sitefinity. Okay, so now that we've created our master page, it's time to apply it to our project. So we're going to go into the admin side of Sitefinity, and we're going to go into Design and Page Templates, and we're going to create a template. You notice that there's several templates pre-done here, and we'll come back and talk about those in a little bit, but we actually want to apply our new master page. So we're going to call it Home. We're going to say that we're using a template and we want to select another template. When you do that, it gives you the option of using your own master page, and we're going to browse to the folder where the master pages are kept. And we want to pick the home page master. And we're going to create and return to templates. And there's our home master, and it is based on home page, which is here. So we click on this, and there's all of our content areas, but as you can see, they have no structure to them, no formatting, and that's because we haven't applied a CSS. So I'm going to click here, back to templates, and we're going to go to Administration, Settings, and we want to click on Advanced. We're going to click on Appearance and Front-End Themes. And we're going to create a new theme, and we're going to call it Corp Clean. And we're going to create the path, and you have to be very careful here because the path is case sensitive. So just make sure that you've got everything spelt properly in here and that all upper and lower case are appropriate, and click Save Changes. When you have done it successfully, it will say Save successfully, and it'll remain green here. Now we want to go back to the design mode, Page Templates, and we're going to bring up that home page that we created earlier. And it'll still have no CSS attached to it. So we're going to go back into Themes. I'm going to click Corp Clean. And you can see that it's applied part of the CSS in that it's laid out all the content areas, but there's no images. The reason for that is that we have to make a slight change to our default CSS. And we want to go in and open that with Word. And it's every place that it's got images, we just have to add this so that it, I put in that question mark again, so that it knows where to go find the images. So I'm just going to do an edit and find URL and we're just going to go through and replace each of these. And I want to save that now. And I'm going to go back to here. And I'm thinking I can just refresh this page. And there you can see we've started to create the full UI with our content areas laid over top.